We're getting near the end of the first unit, and we're going to start to focus on the notes G flat and D flat. Here's your G flat, here's your D flat. We're going to do the chromatic scale, going from G flat up to D flat. First, you're going to audiate it along with me while I play the piano. So when you audiate, don't think about the solfege, think about the pure sound of the piano. Here we go. That's your starting pitch. 1, 2, ready, go. Okay, let's go ahead and try this again. This time I'm only going to play the first note and the top notes, the G flat and the D flat, and you need to see if you can get to that D flat and keep your intonation right. Here we go. 1, 2, on your own. 2, 3, 4. Did you keep your pitch? I was talking with Samuel Adler about this once. I had a lesson with him, and in our lesson we were talking about ear training a little bit. This is when I was faculty over at UNLV. And one of the things we discussed was the importance of the chromatic scale, that a lot of students simply can't sing proper half steps. And it's my belief, and his belief as well, that when you can sing your half steps appropriately, when you can sing them in tune, the other intervals start to come into shape. So they start to become more solid. So one of the things you can do is you can go ahead and try and sing this. It's going to be a little bit low for me, but here's your starting pitch. You go ahead and get your starting pitch, and you try and sing the chromatic scale, and then check yourself. Something like this. Say, sol, lay, la, say, si, do, C. So you just play the note and then you sing on the offbeat. Now, I'm not a singer. You don't have to be a singer to develop your ear. But as long as you're close, in tune to the actual notes you're trying to sing, you'll be in good shape. Okay? So we're going to do this one more time, and this time you're going to sing it. So you're either going to sing it down here or up here. It really depends on your range. Now, I'm not going to play the piano with you. I just want you to try and sing and keep your pitch. What I am going to do is what I just did. So I'm going to give you 2 beats, and then on beat 3, I'll play the pitch, and you'll hold it for another 2 beats. So 1 measure per pitch, just like we see written here. And that way you can check yourself. Okay? Here we go. That's your starting pitch. 1, 2, ready, go. That's it. So this is something you can practice once or more today. You can practice another 1 or 2 more times and see if you can improve this. But you don't need to practice too much. We're going to be working on these every day. We're going to do pitch immersion now. So you're going to listen, then I'm going to ask you to audiate, then I'm going to ask you to tell me the note name, and then you'll sing it. And sing in your octave register. So if I play a G flat way down here, you'll just sing it bum in your own register. Okay? That's actually a good ear training technique because it can be hard to hear something in a different register and then sing it in the correct register. One of the things that you'll notice in your ear training is as you start to learn more intervals, the octave goes away. So it actually becomes harder to hear an octave. It's a very strange thing, but it eventually gets fixed in the end. And one of the ways we can prevent that octave from going away is hearing these notes in different registers and then singing them in a register that's comfortable for us. That's helping us keep the sense of the octave. All right, so here's your G flat for reference and your D flat. Here we go. Audiate. Note name, G flat, and sing. Listen. Audiate. What's the note name? D flat, and sing. Listen. Audiate. What's the note name? D flat, and sing. Listen. Audiate. What's the note name? G flat, and sing. Listen. Audiate. What's the note name? D flat, and sing. Listen. Audiate. What's the note name? G flat, and sing. Listen. Audiate. What's the note name? G flat, and sing. Audiate. What's the note name? D flat, and sing. Listen. Audiate. What's the note name? D flat, and sing. Okay, now we're doing the mirror exercise. You know how this works. I'm going to play this in the bass. And you're going to try and listen for the notes in the treble clef. You're not actually trying to listen to them up here an octave higher. You're trying to hear them down here. And you're listening for the bottom note and the top note in the rhythm you see. So it'll sound something like this, except it should be in the same octave. For it in this chord down here, this interval. Here we go. 1, 2, take it up an octave now. Same thing, listen for the bottom note and the top note in the rhythm you see written in the treble clef. Here we go, ready, go. This may have been distracting because you may be hearing a grandfather clock, but this is actually a good thing because we want to try and focus on the notes that we're listening for. And if you hear the chimes over here or you hear that, these are good distractions to get you to actually focus on these intervals. Because remember, we're trying to develop kind of this light focus. It's not too intense, it's not too subtle, it's just kind of casual. You're just hearing that bottom note and the top note. We're going to do it in one more register up here. Here we go. 1, 2, ready, go. Great. This is a perfect fifth singing drill. The way we're going to do it today is I'm going to play the bottom note, or the first note of the measure. So we'll start with the G flat here, and then you'll sing the next note in time. Bum, and then on beat 4, I'll play so you can check. So we're going to take it kind of slow. Here's your first note. 1, 2, 3, go. Sing below. Okay, so you have to get right on beat 3 before I play the note. We're going to do it a little differently now. We're going to make it a little harder. This is your starting pitch. You're going to just sing the music as written. Now, don't use any tricks. Don't use Star Wars. Don't use Twinkle Twinkle Little Star. Don't do anything like that. You just want to get used to the characteristic sound of the perfect fifth. So the way this is going to go is I'll give you your starting pitch, and then I'll say 1, 2, ready, go. Bum, 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 bum. And that's how you're going to do it. And sorry for the singing, but it doesn't matter if you're a singer. I just have to emphasize that. What matters is you can get pretty close in tune. Vocal technique is a whole other issue that I don't deal with. Here we go. That's your starting pitch. 1, 2, ready, go. time. This time I'm going to take it really slow. So hold the pitch out for the full duration. You'll hear your confirmation pitch from me on the offbeats. Here's your starting pitch. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, now we're going to do chord or interval. So I'm going to play a chord really anywhere on the piano. I've listed 2 options for you here so you can see them. But your G flat chord will sound like this. And this will be your interval. Here's your D flat chord and your interval. So we're going to make this a little bit harder. What I'd like you to do is try and identify if you're hearing a G flat major chord or a G flat interval, or a D flat major chord, or a D flat interval. And of course the interval is always going to be a perfect fifth. So here's your G flat for reference. Here's your D flat. Let's listen to that again. G flat and D flat. Don't identify it, don't describe it, but is there some subtle difference between these two? And don't say, yeah, one sounds softer, one sounds harsher. Don't say anything like that. Just listen. Now listen to the next one. Listen to the G flat and the D flat. Is there some subtle texture? It's a yes or no. That's all that I want you to do here. And it's not just that one's higher than the other. I know some of you are thinking, well, yeah, the D flat's higher, but it's not that. If I play the G flat chord here, and I go down and play D flat here, that D flat and this D flat, they have something in common, don't they? Now compare it to the G flat again. Okay, so you don't describe it, you're just simply acknowledging if you hear it. If you don't, no problem, you'll hear it later most likely. But you're just acknowledging that there's a difference. It's a yes or a no question. That's all we're doing right now. All right, here we go. Identify G flat or D flat. So here's your G flat again. G flat major. D flat major. D flat major. D flat major. G flat major. D flat, perfect fifth. D flat, perfect fifth. D flat, major. G flat, major. G flat, perfect fifth. G flat, perfect fifth. D flat, perfect fifth. Okay, now we're going to do one more thing. I'm going to play an interval here, and you don't need to name what they are. I'm going to tell you what they are. The bottom note's a D flat, and the top note is an A flat. So listen to these two notes. Listen for the bottom one, bring it out. Make it stronger. Here's your note if you can't find it. Now listen to the top note. Bring it out. Here it is if you can't hear it. Now listen to the bottom note, the D flat. And the top note. And the bottom note. And the top note. And the bottom note. We're going to do one more with G flat and D flat now. Listen to the bottom note. And listen to the top note. Here's the bottom note. Listen for that. Listen for the top note. There it is. Listen for it. Now within the interval, this is going to be more difficult. Listen for that bottom note and listen for that top note. And feel if there's something just slightly different about those two notes. Resist the temptation to describe it. Do not describe it. Don't try and memorize it. It's going back and forth. Bottom, D flat, A flat. Top note. Bottom. Top. D flat. A flat. Just kind of go back and forth casually between these two notes. Do you hear a difference? It's just a yes or no. We'll talk more about that in Unit 2 and why I'm doing that. Okay, we're going to do two chords, G flat major and D flat major. So I'm going to play the chord. You're going to listen for the bottom note when I tell you to, the middle and the top note. Then you're going to arpeggiate and then you're going to sing. And we're going to do this with a G flat and a D flat chord. Here we go. Listen for the bottom note. Listen again. Try and bring that bottom note out. One more time. If you couldn't hear it, here's the note. Now listen for that bottom note in the chord. Okay, now listen for the middle note. Try and find it. Here's the middle note if you're having trouble. That's the note you're listening for. Listen for it in the chord. Bring it out. Now listen for the top note. Try and find it. That's the top note. Now listen for it again. Listen for it in the chord. Now we're going to arpeggiate. I'm going to do it like this. I'm going to play a long note, and then I'm going to play it 3 times. And so I'm going to sing what you're hearing. You're actually hearing this. Bum, what you're doing is you're listening for those notes in the chord the way I sing it. So you listen for the bottom, bottom, middle, top, bottom, in that rhythm. We're going to do it a few times. Here we go. Sing it. Same thing I just did, but now you're going to sing. Here we go. 1, ready, go. Okay, we're going to do this with D flat. Listen for the bottom note. Try and bring it out, try and find it. Here's the D flat if you couldn't hear it. Bring it out. Listen for the middle note, try and find it. Here's the middle note. Listen again. And listen for the top note. Here's the top note. Listen for it. One more time. Okay, now we're going to arpeggiate. Here we go. 1, 2, 3. Now you're going to sing it. 1, ready, go. Da, 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 da. Keep going. Okay, now you're going to identify the perfect fifth. I'm going to play a series of intervals. They're either going to be a perfect fifth or something else. I only want you to say perfect fifth when you hear a perfect fifth. So I'm either going to say perfect fifth or other. It's important, even if you can identify the other intervals, that you don't try and identify them right now. Just identify it as a perfect fifth or other. We're trying to teach the brain what the fifth sounds like in comparison to everything else, and we don't care what the other intervals are, even if we know what they are. Try and resist the urge to identify the other intervals, okay? Perfect fifth. Other. Perfect fifth. Other. Perfect fifth. Other. Perfect fifth. Now you can get in these and kind of unlock them. You can listen for the bottom and the top note. Just don't identify them. It's a very hard thing to do, but try. perfect fifth, other, perfect fifth, perfect fifth, perfect fifth, perfect fifth, other, perfect fifth, perfect fifth, other, perfect fifth, perfect fifth, other, perfect fifth, perfect fifth, perfect fifth, perfect fifth, other, other, perfect fifth, perfect fifth, other, 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 perfect fifth, perfect fifth, perfect fifth, perfect fifth, other, perfect fifth, other, perfect fifth, perfect fifth, other, perfect fifth, perfect fifth, perfect fifth, other, other, perfect fifth, perfect fifth, perfect fifth, other, 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 perfect fifth, perfect fifth, perfect fifth, perfect fifth, other, other, perfect fifth. So on this particular one, you really should aim for 100%, but remember, don't spend more than 3 weeks and get frustrated. That's okay. Be annoyed with this drill. Hate this drill. Do whatever you need to do, however you need to feel about it. But just come back to it every day and try again. Okay? And you will find that eventually you will be able to hear the perfect fifths. It will start to stand out amongst the other intervals that I played. And we'll be doing this for the rest of Unit 1. Unit 2 is when we get into some really exciting stuff where we really start to develop the ear. We're just laying a foundation right now. Okay, now we're going to do chord progressions. We're learning the tonic and the dominant chord. So here's your tonic chord in G flat major. This would be your dominant. So all you're going to do is say tonic or dominant. This is very similar to a previous chord drill, but we're reframing it. We're identifying them as tonic or dominant. So here's your tonic. So go ahead and say tonic after I play. You get the first one for free. Tonic, dominant, tonic, dominant. Now I'm going to do some things where I don't play them in root position. So this is a dominant chord. It sounds similar to this. right? But it's not a new position. You'll still call it dominant. So we're making this a little harder. So here's your tonic chord again. Dominant. Tonic. Dominant. Dominant. Tonic. Dominant. Tonic. Tonic. Dominant. Dominant. Tonic. Dominant. Tonic. Dominant. Dominant. Tonic. Dominant. Tonic. Dominant. Tonic. Pitch notation, you're going to have the notes G flat, that's your starting pitch, D flat, G flat, and D flat. And this G flat, and potentially this D flat. Here we go. 1, 2, ready, go. Pause if you need to. I'm going to go ahead and play this for you again. 1, 2, ready, go. Pause it if you want to. Now remember, you're going to memorize this, and the way you memorize it is once I show you the answer, you take a screenshot, you notate it, whatever you need to do. I suggest writing it out by hand at some point, and you just try and memorize this melody. And the reason we're doing this is to improve your memory. When you improve your musical memory, everything else gets better along with it. It's one of the issues with ear training. If you just try and learn the sound of an interval, it's not going to be great if your musical memory isn't great. So we want to improve your ability to retain musical information in your mind. Okay, remember to memorize this and also try and audiate it. Here we go. I'm going to play it for you. 1, 2, ready, go. Okay, for this last one, I'm not going to give you your first pitch. You need to try and figure it out. Here's a low G flat, a D flat, a G flat, a D flat, G flat, D flat, and G flat. Okay, so I want you to try and figure out what the first pitch is, and the reason I'm doing this is something I'll explain later in Unit 2. Here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4. Pause if if you need to. Remember, we're always trying to memorize these to increase our memory, so when I give you the answer, make sure you write it down and try and memorize it. 1, 2, here we go. I'm going to show you the answer, so pause it if you need to. Here's your answer. Don't forget to memorize and audiate. 1, 2, 3, 4.